Zdeno Chara is old and showing it. David Pastrnak got him signed. Well, they had to. Have they got enough talent that they can push into that lineup that's young and quick and speedy enough? Bruce Cassidy kind of rejuvenated a few guys last year, kind of got them going. I don't know. I'm skeptical about Boston. Bergeron, Marchand, Pastrnak, some other good places. I just don't think that's going to be enough. I think this is the year there could be a drop-off for the Bruins. Toronto Maple Leafs. How good is this team? Expectations are all over the map for the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is accurate. Summer's predicting they'll win the division. There are others that say they'll be in tough to make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs because I don't think the overall talent on those teams in that division is that good. I think they can make the playoffs. But how good is this team? What is a realistic expectation for Toronto? They play a system. They're structured. Their lack of superior talent on defense will cover that along with Frederik Andersen. Remember last year? First few weeks of the season, people were trying to run Frederik Andersen out of town. What did they pay? What did they do? Get this guy and sign him for 5 years? What are they, crazy? Shut up pretty quickly, didn't they? Tampa Bay Lightning. Steven Stamkos, healthy. Andrei Vasilevsky, new goalie. Will the Bolts return to their rightful place in the postseason this year? I think so. I think this can be a huge bounce-back year for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stamkos healthy. Nikita Kucherov, as good as he was last year, I think he's even better. They had a lot of guys who were hurt through the season. I think Sergachev is going to be terrific. I think they'll usher him nicely into the lineup pretty quickly. What are you going to do with Ryan Callahan? Steve Yzerman will figure that part of it out. They still have players that they're going to have to sign going forward. I think they'll be okay. I think Tampa has a nice bounce-back season. Florida Panthers. 2016-17 never happened, right? Just wipe it off the record. Wipe it right out. Kind of looks that way, the way Dave Allen's been working. Cleared out just about everybody who was involved and had anything to do with that major screw-up last year. There's still some work to do. They had one crappy year last year where they were on a nice trajectory of growing, and then people in the organization lost their mind and turned it upside down. Might take another season for them to fix all that. Goalie situation is also going to be a bit of a question mark with Florida going forward. Roberto Luongo, how much of a load can he carry? Is James Reimer really a guy that can carry it all for you? Can he be a number one, play 60 games a year? I don't know. Detroit, talked a little bit about them in the last hour. Ansar Khan from MLive was with us. MLive.com, excuse me. After opening night, how bad does it get for the Detroit Red Wings and how quickly? Because it could go really bad really fast. Going to be a wonderful opening night. This brand new building, Little Caesars Arena. Is it going to be called the Pizza Box or the Pizza Oven? Pizza Box or Pizza Oven? I think it's got to be one of those two. But after that, you've essentially brought back the same team as last year, except for Trevor Daley, who was added. And his best days, I would say, are behind him. Really, how good are the Detroit Red Wings going to be? Not very. There's a lot of work ahead on this team. And somebody better figure it out and start doing it quickly, or it could get really bad for a really long time. And the Buffalo Sabres, last team in the Atlantic, I think they're better this year. I think Jack Eichel is going to be really good. I think Jack Eichel is going to be really sensational. And I just think last year, with that injury that he suffered right at the end of training camp, missed the first 20 games or so, took him at least the midway point of the year before he got back healthy. I'm still not sold on Robin Leonard. I think Phil Housley will make them better. The big jump might come next year, though. Moving on to the Central Division in the West. Last year, the Hawks brought back old shoes on defense. Roosevelt, Brian Campbell. This year, it's Patrick Sharp and Brandon Saad. No Marian Hossa is going to hurt big. No Nick Jarmelson is going to hurt a lot. No Scott Darling is going to hurt. Those young players that were getting shuffled in and out of the lineup last year are going to have to take on a bigger role for the Hawks this year. I don't think they're the number one team in that division. I think there's a fall off. Minnesota Wild, a couple of key players are a year older. Suter, Koivu, Parise. Some of them are Parise, who got dinged up again during training camp. The defense is good. Will younger forwards take on a larger role? Can they take the next step so that we can be asking ourselves throughout the latter stages of the regular season and into the playoffs if we can avoid the Bruce Boudreau playoff curse this year? I think everybody'd like that. I don't know. St. Louis. Injuries have hurt this team hard. Steen, Bouwmeester, Fabry gone for the whole season. That's huge. This might hurt this team so badly they can't recover. If they get behind early, if they get too far back early, it's going to be tough to climb back into contention for this team because there's a lot of good teams in that Central Division. Braden Shen might be one of the most important pieces because he was acquired and he's going to have to fill in a lot. Tarasenko is going to score a whole bunch. That's great. Jake Allen, solid in goal. Oh, on our Twitter feed, at Hockey Unfiltered, we tweeted out or retweeted Jaromir Jagr's tweet from yesterday where he had, here's a couple of things where it went wrong. First of all, he's got a cat. We're a dog show. HU Dog of the Day, hashtag HU Dog of the Day every Saturday. And he's got money and he's got a bottle with it. It's like, oh, yeah, said that there's interest. No, there's not. No, there's not. You'd have been signed already. I don't see it happening. Nashville. In a place known for hangovers, how big is the Stanley Cup final appearance hangover for the Nashville Predators? It was electric last year. For this team, country stars coming in and singing the anthem. It was fantastic. Fell a little short. Now, they lost James Neal. They lost their captain to retirement. Is the goaltending still going to be good enough? No Mike Fisher. Nick Bonino's in. I think they'll pick up okay. They may suffer a little bit at the beginning, but I think they'll find it. Winnipeg. It's playoffs or bust for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm not sure it's going to be playoffs. That's a big ask in the Central. You got a lot of teams that are good teams and potentially playoff teams. And that is a big ask for them to get in. I think Mark Scheifele is a star, though, that not enough people are knowing about. He is a sensational player. They took a lot of dumb penalties last year. If they can correct that, it'll help. I'm not sure how much Steve Mason is going to help their goaltending. I think it's going to have to be Connor Hellebuck who figures it out. But Mark Scheifele's sensational, and Patrick Laine is an unbelievable sniper. We'll jump over to Colorado and say, when will the madness end? Or how bad is this team? Those are the questions. This team gives the Red Wings hope of not hitting the bottom. I like some of the young players they have. Alexander Kerfoot, who joins McKinnon, Tyson Jost. But this Matt Duchene thing, the madness must stop. You got to get past that. That has got to end. And the Dallas Stars, they might be the most improved team. You got Radulov, you got Mark Method, you got Ben Bishop into your lineup, and you got Ken Hitchcock as your coach. That's some pretty good off-season work by the Dallas Stars. They are going to be an interesting team to watch. We're going to talk more about the Dallas Stars in our next segment with Mike Heika when he joins us. He covers the Stars for the Dallas Morning News. And also coming up later on this hour, Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DauberHockey.com. Hashtag Fantasy5. Stephen will have the Fantasy 5 and also a little advice for you on how to approach your fantasy draft. Predictions before the top of the hour of which teams make the playoffs, which teams don't, and who the lottery teams are going to be this year. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition. We're here every Saturday, every Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, streaming live at hockeyunfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio. Also streaming live on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube Live, Spreaker Live. More affiliates to be announced in the coming weeks. Teams are working diligently to get their roster set, become salary cap compliant in anticipation of the start of the year. Between yesterday and today, we've kind of gone through the questions that I have about each of the 31 teams in the National Hockey League. I don't know. There's a lot of questions. Coming up this hour, Stephen Laidlaw will helpfully answer a few of your questions about your fantasy hockey draft. This week's Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. It'll be every Sunday with Stephen Laidlaw, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Our fantasy hockey expert is the managing editor of DauberHockey.com. Also hoping to connect with Mike Heika of the Dallas Morning News. Still trying to reach him to talk about the Dallas Stars. They could be one of the most improved teams in the NHL. As I mentioned just before the break, they made some big changes in the offseason, brought in Alexander Radulov, who was with the Montreal Canadiens last year. 5-year deal, a lot of money, a lot of term. All right. Acquired Ben Bishop, signed him to a long-term contract. That's pretty good. Changed coaches, Lindy Ruff out. His contract wasn't renewed. And yes, everything old is new again. Ken Hitchcock returns to coach the Dallas Stars. Kind of an interesting move. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, but it did. Pretty interesting. So, I don't know. Mark Method, I think, is a nice addition to their defense as well. They had a lot of good young defensemen with some talent. needed a bit of maturity, needed a bit of seasoning, needed a bit of structure. I think Ken Hitchcock is going to provide that. I think Mark Mathod's been a really good addition. He'll be helpful for that team. I don't know. Can they improve enough in a really tough Central Division to climb into a playoff spot? See, that's where I'm a little unsure. I think they'll be better. I'm not sure that they can improve enough to get into the postseason, though. How many more points are they going to get this year? 10? That might not be enough. 12 might not be enough. I'm not sure if Dallas can gain that much in one season. And if they don't, is that going to be, what's the level of disappointment? I think Ben Bishop will help them in goal. I think their defensive systems and their defensive structure under Ken Hitchcock will be better, because you either kind of play Ken Hitchcock's way or you don't play. I think being healthy up front, adding Radulov to the mix will certainly help. But again, maybe some young players coming into the lineup and adding a little something. A player like Brett Ritchie, maybe he's got to have a bigger role and take another step forward if they're going to gain enough points to get themselves into the postseason. While we may wait for Mike Heika, we'll talk about the questions from the Pacific Division as well. Can the Ducks survive the early part of the season without Ryan Kessler and a couple of their good young defensemen that are hurt? Hope so. I think they will. And I think it will serve them well in the end, as a matter of fact. Sure, Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaff, they're a little bit older. I think Corey Perry bounces back after last year. Eves plays as well as he did last year. Ricky Raquel is a terrific player. I think this could be a very good year for the Anaheim Ducks. Expectations are high in Edmonton. Climbed back into the playoffs last year. Watch Leon Draisaitl play last night. Boy, did he look good. He is not wilting under that big contract at all right now. At least not last night. He looked sensational. I don't think Connor McDavid will either. But I think it's going to be the supporting cast that's going to be key for the Edmonton Oilers. How does their defense hold up? They're going to be without Sekera, or Sekera if you prefer, for a while, because he's out with injury. How does Patrick Maroon play? How does Zach Kassian play? How do some of the others play? Those are, I think, going to be the keys. Kyler Yamamoto, yeah. If you get support like that from others, I think that will help the Dallas Star, the Edmonton Oilers. San Jose Sharks, Patrick Marleau is gone. How much is he going to be missed? I think quite a bit. I think they're going to miss him a lot. And it's going to be the question, who takes over and provides all that offense? Because even under all the adversity that Patrick Marleau faced as member of the San Jose Sharks, he kept producing, kept scoring goals. He was a center. He was a winger. He was the first, second, third line. He just kept producing, no matter where they put him or what he did. And somebody's got to do that. Will Donskoy or Thomas Hertl or Melker Karlsson take the next step? Can they pick up some of that? They're going to have to. Joe Thornton will be back. He's playing tonight in the Sharks' final preseason game. I think he'll be okay. He was never fast. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Calgary Flames finished with the same number of points as the Nashville Predators. Are they a better team? Added another defenseman. They believe they've upgraded their goaltending. I don't know. Mike Smith's okay, but I'm not as big a Mike Smith fan as some people are. Are they as good as they think they are? I'm not sure if the Calgary Flames really are. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're a contending team. In that division, they can be a playoff team. But my expectations for the Calgary Flames, I don't think they can be a deep into the playoffs team. I think there's still questions about Are they going to be able to score enough offense? They've got a great defense core. Goaltending is okay. I think Mike Smith is on the downslope. Is that going to be enough offense? Same question with the Los Angeles Kings, only more so. They couldn't score goals last year. Yeah, I know they lost Jonathan Quick for 2/3 or 3/4 of the season. Goaltending wasn't the problem. Bad defense and not being able to score goals. Who did they bring in? Michael Camilleri. Change coach. Oh, we want to play a faster, more up-tempo style. Well, that's great. I don't think you can. I don't think you've got enough guys that can play that way and succeed. So with a new coach and a new GM and mostly the same players, are you going to have a different result? I don't see it. Arizona Coyotes, they were neck and neck with the Vancouver Canucks last season. They will be again this year. Which one finishes ahead? It's touch and go right now. Yotes made some significant changes. Their defense is pretty good. Ekman-Larsson, Charmelson. Yeah, they brought in Demers. And a lot of people think that that's the greatest move in the world, getting him from Florida. I don't. He's okay. He's a good defenseman, but he's not great. Antti Raanta is going to be their goaltender now. I think that's probably a pretty good move. They still got some young players that need to grow into their roles and mature a little bit, and that's going to take time. They're not there yet. Vancouver Canucks, as I mentioned, they were neck and neck with Arizona. Brock Besser's terrific. Jake Virtanen's looked good in the preseason. Bo Horvat I like. Jacob Markstrom, he's going to get the chance to be the #1 guy this year. The Sedins will play in Vancouver. They will play in Vancouver all season long. They will be asked about their future in Vancouver all season long. Their future is in Vancouver for as long as they're in the National Hockey League. One more year under their current contract. Will they continue as members of the Vancouver Canucks? You got to think that they would come back. They would be happy to come back. And if I'm Vancouver, at the right price, I'll be happy to take them back. It's going to be lower than their contracts this year, but no, I don't believe they're going anywhere. They'll get asked about it all year, and there will be those that speculate and fling poo at the wall to see if it sticks. Don't think it will. Nothing's going to happen with the Vancouver Canucks. The Sedins, both Henrik and Daniel, will be members of the Canucks all season long. Even when they wrote that big piece on the Players Tribune in the summer, said, we're here, we're not asking for a trade, we want to finish our careers in Vancouver. The clickbait stories I saw shortly after, will the Sedins really finish in Vancouver? Despite what they say, are they really going to stay there? Well, this is what they've said. Dumb. And the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm excited for the addition of the Vegas Golden Knights. They got lots of defensemen. They have some players that have recognizable names. They'll score a few goals. They'll create some excitement. They've got a decent goaltender in Marc-Andre Fleury. And we'll have hockey in Vegas. They'll be competitive. They'll not get steamrolled or handed their lunch on a nightly basis the way some expansion teams do. But they're not going to win a ton of games. And I think everyone's realistic enough to see that. This is the start of the building process toward being a good team, a competitive team. Some of the players that start this season with the Vegas Golden Knights won't finish the season with the Vegas Golden Knights because there's a future ahead. By the way, the Vegas Golden Knights did a really cool thing as they were installing the ice at T-Mobile Arena. Of course, the Vegas Golden Knights, it's been a process to generate support, see if they could get a team. It was finally awarded, and they'll hit the ice this week as members of the National Hockey League. The first step was to see if there was support for a season ticket base. So they had a season ticket drive. They were successful. They sold a whole bunch of season tickets. And when the franchise was awarded, people have their season tickets. They're ready to go. So as they're installing the ice at T-Mobile Arena, they have embedded the names of all their season ticket holders into the ice. I think that's a really cool thing. Yep, you're with us. You're a part of our success, and it was necessary for you to participate so we could be here. And putting the names of their season ticket holders in the ice, I think is a really cool thing for the Vegas Golden Knights. Good for them. I think that's a really good, I think that's a really cool thing. Some teams have done really unique things with merchandise and stuff. I like that one. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Before the top of the hour, some predictions of playoff teams, lottery teams. Threw some stuff at the wall. We'll see if we come up with the actual Stanley Cup matchup or not. I don't know, but I'll have a prediction. And Stephen Laidlaw with the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5 coming up in our next segment. Little help for you in your fantasy hockey pool this week, and also some draft help as well. We'll get into that next. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova product design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition here every Saturday, every Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to find us. Before the top of the hour, we will have Mike Heike. There was a mix-up. We got a little mixed up with the time, and I'm sure he's been very busy today as well with the Dallas Stars and all that has gone on with the team. Our condolences again to Dave Strader's family, the Stars family as well. We will talk with Mike Heike before the hour is out. Pleased to welcome back to the program again this year. He will be here every Sunday with tremendous fantasy hockey info. Yes, each week, the Fantasy 5, hashtag Fantasy 5. The managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Steve Laidlaw is how you follow him on Twitter, and he's on the line now. Steve, good to talk to you. Hope you've had a great summer and hope you're ready to go for another good year.
Oh, Todd, it's been a while. Good to hear your voice. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited for the upcoming season, as you can noticeably tell.
Yeah, it's been a long summer, and I think everybody's anxious to get things going. We kind of get sick of the preseason after a couple of weeks, and everybody's excited for the new year to begin. They want to see their players playing on the ice for real. But of course, in advance of that, everybody's trying to get their fantasy lineup all put together and develop a strategy and go through rankings, and everybody's looking for the best info. So first of all, tell us about the Dobber Hockey DobberHockey.com guide for fantasy info that has proven to be very successful over a number of years, and that is still available. And if you haven't had your fantasy draft yet, there is still time to take advantage of.
Yeah, it's available for $10 on our website, dauberhockey.com. You can follow the links, or daubersports.com/shop. Again, $10. It's a PDF, free for download. There's all sorts of articles in there to give you some tips and tricks, as well as all of Dauber's projections, and he updates those all throughout the summer. So the guide first came out in early August, and I believe the most recent update was a week ago, September 24th. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got it updated this weekend. He stays on top of that stuff with injuries, line changes, little tidbits we might be picking up about combinations, that sort of thing, from the preseason. So he's always updating those rankings. So you've got the best predictions to base off of, and it's been proven out. There's some folks who the folks at Fantasy Ref, they actually went through the past couple of years worth of rankings from a bunch of different providers, and Dauber's got the best rankings bar none. So he's the one you want to use, especially if you're going to spend some money on buying some rankings. He's proven to be the best, so use the best.
$10 is well worth the investment. Okay, Steve, a couple of other thoughts now on strategy for the fantasy draft. There are people that spend a lot of time ranking players, or if it's a Yahoo league, they rank the players, and that's great, but I think everyone has a little bit of a different strategy. Are there one or two tips that you would give people that you should definitely do this before your fantasy draft?
I would say if you can, try to build some tiered rankings. So what I mean by that is whatever positions you happen to play with, whether it's just straight forwards or if you go center, left wing, right wing, defense, goalie, that sort of thing, make tiers within each position group, so that, you know, if you happen to have 5 similarly ranked defensemen available, but only 1 similarly ranked goaltender available, well, then you probably want to go with the goaltender because it's a more scarce product. You might be able to get a similarly ranked defenseman later in your draft. So you can kind of plan out your picks. It's not necessarily, oh, I have to have this one specific player that I'm really high on. It's, I want to get a player in this tier. And that methodology allows you to kind of, if you're in a bunch of pools, it allows you to get a wide array of different players depending really values who in your fantasy league. So I've always found that that's a very useful trick. It allows me to not go kind of overboard with centermen, because that's usually the most abundant position in fantasy hockey. And, you know, if you go 3 centermen right off the bat, well, then you're going to be missing out on the top ranked wingers, and there's going to be some undervalued centermen that you're not going to get later in the draft. So you can kind of map out your draft strategy just using some tiered rankings.
Okay, one other question before we get to this week's Fantasy 5. Is there a way to deal with, as you're going through a fantasy draft, someone who screws it up by picking a goaltender, number 3 or 4 overall?
How do you mean? Do you mean like someone
I mean,
screws up?
Well, I guess the thing is that I'm still amazed that people will select a goaltender that early in the draft when there are more than suitable goaltenders available much later.
I would say that goalie strategy would depend on your league size. I've got a draft coming up this afternoon where there's 14 of us, and so the only way that you're going to get 2 starters is if you start hammering goalies early. So as erratic as goalies are, you kind of want to make sure you get 1 or 2 benchmark goalies so you don't end up in a situation like where I was last season, where I was looking at basically streaming in backups like Grubauer and Saros to overcome the fact that all I had was the Jet starters and the Flyer starters who were just miserable for the entire season. So you want to avoid that kind of situation in a larger type league. But if you're in a 10-team league, then you want to wait on goalies. There's some good value to be had in round 7, round 8. You can get proven starters at that point in the draft. So it all depends on your league size, and it also depends on, you know, how how excited folks are about drafting goalies in your league. I mean, if the goalie run starts in round 2 and the top 10 starters are all gone before you get to round 3 or 4, then you kind of have to get in on that. So it's, you know, every draft kind of takes on its own life, and you kind of have to go with your own flows. And that's why those tiered rankings are really important, because if you're down, you know, if it's round 4 and you haven't drafted a goalie yet, and you're looking at, you know, your third tier of goalies, well, you probably should have jumped in earlier.
You're in trouble. Okay. Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, at Steve Laidlaw to follow him on Twitter. Here it is, the first Fantasy 5 of the season, hashtag Fantasy 5, and name number 1 on the list. Oh, yes, Jack Eichel of the Buffalo Sabres. I love this. I think he's going to have a great year.
Yeah, I think he's a first-round talent in just about any format. He scored just about a point per game when he got back from injury last season. Was shooting over 4 shots on goal per game, so he's flinging more rubber than a tire factory. I think he could take over as the league's shot on goal king now that Ovechkin's kind of slowing down. And I mean, Brent Burns is fantastic from defense, but how many more years can he keep on putting up 300 plus shots on goal? So I think Jack Eichel is going to be the top option for shots on goal. I think he can put up a point per game over 80 games this season, and I think that that'll make him maybe even as high as a top 5 fantasy asset in rotisserie settings.
Okay, name number 2 on the Fantasy 5 this week, Scott Darling, goaltender for the Carolina Hurricanes. You think this was a good move by the Canes to pick him up, obviously?
Yeah, I'm stupendously high on Scott Darling. The Hurricanes, basically all they were missing was even remotely adequate goaltending. Over the past 2 years, they're the second best team in terms of shot ratio, shots for versus shots against. So they're basically Los Angeles Kings of the Eastern Conference, but they have had horrific goaltending, second worst save percentage the last 2 years. So if they even get league average goaltending, they're a playoff team last year. They've got a ton of young talent, so they should be even better this season. You know, there's some breakout candidates like Sebastian Aho, and if they can get those breakouts, that along with excellent goaltending, then you're looking at what could be a potential top 10 fantasy asset in Darling. You know, it's small sample size, but he's got the 6th best save percentage in the league over the past couple of seasons. I'm very high on this. You know, we've seen other backups jump into starting roles and really perform excellently. I think that Darling could be the next Cam Talbot. I'm very high on his prospects, and he's a guy you can get as the 15th goalie off the board.
Name number 3 on Steve's Fantasy 5, first one of the year, Alex Pietrangelo, defenseman for the St. Louis Blues. He will be relied on a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with some of the injuries that they've had. But, I mean, the big reason I'm high on Pietrangelo is we saw it at the end of last season. After they traded Shattenkirk, Pietrangelo took over as the number 1. You know, I was kind of optimistic that Parayko might see a boost in power play time, but it was Pietrangelo who took over. He was seeing over 3 minutes a game on top power play unit, and the Blues have, you know, they have one of the better power plays in the league, probably as a result of having a big shooter like Tarasenko. So you're getting exposure to Tarasenko there. You know, you're probably going to get 26 minutes a game out of Pietrangelo in all situations, but especially that power play. The last 20 games of last season, he scored 18 points. I wouldn't expect quite that kind of output, a bit of a small sample size, but, you know, I think it would take an injury for him to score less than 50 points this year.
Name number 4 on the Fantasy 5, Shane Gostisbehere of the Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah, I think he bounces back nicely.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, all it would take is, you know, a few less mind games from the coaching staff, you know, healthy scratches, that sort of thing. I don't think that's in the cards for Gostisbehere this season. You know, last season was a nightmare, and he still almost put up 40 points and 200 shots on goal. So if the Flyers even improved remotely at 5-on-5 and they were horrific, then Gostisbehere is scoring at least 45 points, because it literally cannot get worse than it was last season. I think his 5-on-5 production will bounce back. I think his shooting percentage will bounce back. And he gets you exposure to that Flyers top power play unit, which is the tentpole power play in all of hockey. Really, they're top 5 every season. So 20 plus power play points guaranteed for Gostisbehere. He should get you at least 50 points this season as well.
And finally, on Stephen Laidlaw's first Fantasy 5 of the season, #Fantasy5, Nick Schmaltz. What do you like about Nick?
Well, he was kind of on my radar at the end of last season. He had some nice hot streaks there. He was scoring a boatload of points in a small number of minutes. So I kind of look for is a high amount of 5-on-5 scoring, and he was scoring over 2 points per 60 minutes at 5-on-5, which is an elite rate. So that's kind of what you're looking for in breakout candidates. And it sounds like he's going to get more minutes this season, centering that second line with Patrick Kane. So you're getting exposure to another elite talent, which could boost him up a little bit more. I do have some concerns. I'm not sure that he's going to get power play, which would, really help to elevate his status. But I mean, he could get 60 points just seeing power play 2 time and getting exposure at 5-on-5 to Kane. He's good enough for that. If he could ever get power play 1 time, his stock would skyrocket. But definitely someone you would want to take in one of the final rounds of your fantasy league. If he doesn't get off to a hot start, you can pitch him for someone who is off to a hot start. But certainly the situation and the talent is there for Schmaltz to break out into that 55, 60-point range.
Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Steve Laidlaw is how you follow him on Twitter. Steve, great stuff as always, and we look forward to a fun season ahead. Thanks for this, and we'll talk next Sunday.
Yeah, pleasure talking to you, Todd. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Steve. Great to have you back. Stephen Laidlaw back with our fantasy hockey info every Sunday. The Fantasy 5, if you missed it. Jack Eichel of the Sabres, Scott Darling of the Hurricanes, Alex Pietrangelo of the Blues, Shane Gostisbehere of the Flyers, and Nick Schmaltz of the Chicago Blackhawks. We'll tweet out the link. It'll be up on our Facebook page as well. We're going to squeeze in one more guest before the top of the hour. Mike Heika of the Dallas Morning News is going to join us. We'll talk about the Stars. We'll talk quickly about the passing of Dave Strader as well. That news coming out on Sunday morning. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with Seat Giant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Sunday edition, back up here to the top of the hour, and we are squeezing in our guest. We had a little mix-up, but we're happy to have him. He covers the Dallas Stars for the Dallas Morning News. At Mike Heike is how you follow him on Twitter. Mike, I'm glad we were able to get you on, especially today. Our thoughts and sympathies with the Strader family, with the Stars family, after the announcement Sunday morning that Dave Strader had passed away. Sad day for the Dallas Stars organization.
Yeah, life is always. We had a good friend, Richard Durrett, a younger writer, a few years back who died of a brain aneurysm, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, you hold on to their memories and you try and keep their life alive in the stories of what they've accomplished and what they've done, and that's the best you can do, I guess.
And we'll do that. And from the sadness, we go to the optimism of the Dallas Stars and a new season that begins in just a couple of days' time. A significant change to the Dallas Stars roster. Alex Radulov is in. Ben Bishop is in. How good is it going to be to talk about the Dallas Stars and not talk about the goaltending this year, except in a positive way?
Yeah, I think all of it is. It's all interconnected, and maybe that's why it feels so good. Ken Hitchcock and Rick Wilson are two very good defensive coaches. The Stars had the worst power play or worst penalty kill in the league last year. St. Louis had the best. So there's going to be a big flip there. And then when you bring in Ben Bishop, now you have a top 10 goalie over the last 5 years and a system which should support him very well. So it all seems to just work together.
The defensive system that you mentioned too, I think, will also be aided by the acquisition of Mark Mathot. Not the biggest defensive name, but one that I think is really going to fit nicely in helping out that Dallas Stars. And depending on who he's paired with as well, that could be a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing that's interesting is the defensive system also helps the three defensemen, Patrick Nemeth, P6 around, Jamie Alexiak, and Stephen Johns. So, not only do you bring in Mathot, who can help any of the younger defensemen, or John Klingberg, but you also, I think, create a system in which the skill set of guys like Alexiak is going to be supported. Instead of asking him to rush up ice and try and join the play, he's going to be given, I think, very simple instructions, and I think that'll be helpful for all three of those guys to help them build their confidence.
Mentioned that the Stars acquired after the big contract Alex Radulov, but I also think that the young players on the Dallas Stars roster are going to be key to their success. Whether it's a Brett Ritchie who maybe has a nice year, or Radek Faksa, I think those type of players are also going to be necessary to take a step forward for them to improve enough to get back into the postseason.
Yeah, and I think we saw last year that when players get hurt, their young depth is very helpful. Guys like Jamel Smith, Justin Dowling, Dennis Kiryanov, Rope Hintz. Now, all those guys can come in, so that they are turning this over, and so I think that's a good thing. Both Faksa and Ritchie and Devin Shore, and then Matthias Janmark. That's another guy we can't forget because he was so good 2 years ago. Missed some of last year with the knee injury. But they do have some really good young players with different skill sets. Ritchie, big, strong, power forward. Janmark, a speedy winger who can play defensively. Devin Shore, who can play pretty much any position. So they are in good shape there, and I do think they need that, because I do think the NHL is trending towards a younger overall, but especially a younger forward group, because I think the younger forward group does have more skill.
And one more I'll squeeze in just before I let you go. My question every time you're on, I think, are we going to see more Julius Honka this year?
Well, we thought we were, but it doesn't look like it right now. It looks like Alexiak beat him out for a top 6 position. And then the controversy right now, and is what I think they're going to do, is they're going to carry him as an 8th defenseman in the NHL, and then just let him learn from Wilson and Hitchcock, and sit in the press box and go to practice, and it's maybe 10 games or maybe 12 games. But it's going to be an interesting concept because he's already got almost 200 AHL games. So they're going to try and throw us a curveball and see what happens. Of course, one guy gets hurt and boom, he's in the lineup, and next night he could be the first star of the game. So we'll see what happens there.
Mike Heika of the Dallas Morning News, covering the Dallas Stars. At Mike Heika is how you follow him on Twitter. Mike, super happy that you were able to squeeze us in today. We appreciate it. And again, our sympathies on the passing of Dave Strader. It's sad for the Dallas Stars organization today.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Just keep a good thought for the family and think about something Dave did, because he did a lot of great things.
Hear, hear. Well said. Mike Heika of the Dallas Morning News, covering the Dallas Stars. Just before we get out of here in our final couple of minutes, I promised this over the last few days, is that said we would go through the predictions, because everybody does their predictions. You have to have them. So I kind of went through who's going to be in, who's going to be out of the playoffs. So here they are. We'll whip through them just before we wrap it up. In the East, the playoff teams: Tampa Bay, Toronto, Montreal, Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Carolina, New York Rangers. In the West, playoff teams: Anaheim, Edmonton, Calgary. This is the tricky one. I took San Jose, Minnesota, Nashville, Chicago, and Dallas. Division winners: Tampa, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Nashville. The Stanley Cup final will be Tampa Bay and Anaheim. And the winner, the Anaheim Ducks. And here's the other one that nobody really predicts or gets into, but I thought was worthwhile after going through and making projections and looking at rosters and examining them. The lottery teams that will be competing for that #1 pick overall: Colorado, Vancouver, Arizona, New Jersey, and Detroit. It's a hard league. It's a hard league to take steps forward. It's a hard league to make improvements, but that's what I put down as my predictions. We'll put them up on Twitter and post them on our Facebook page as well. And we'll do like I did last year, as we'll keep track of them and hang on to them to the end of the year. And then at the end of the regular season and eventually at the end of the playoffs, we'll have a look at them and see exactly how close I was to getting the predictions right, or whether or not I didn't get them right. But hey, it's a little bit of fun. It's something that everybody has to do at the start of the season. So went through, made the predictions. We'll see how close they come. But there is a lot of excitement as we get set for a brand new season in the National Hockey League. The 4 games that will open it up on Wednesday night. We're looking forward to it and getting the season started. It's an exciting time as the Pittsburgh Penguins will be raising the Stanley Cup banner on Wednesday night. They'll be playing host to the St. Louis Blues. Not exactly a rivalry night on Wednesday, but that's okay. Also, Toronto is at Winnipeg, Calgary and Edmonton. That's a good rivalry night. And Philadelphia is in San Jose. That's how it opens up. And then it really kicks into gear the next night when you have the Detroit Red Wings, who will play host to the Minnesota Wild, and hosting them at the opening of Little Caesars Arena. And yes, the Vegas Golden Knights get into action later in the week. It's a fun time in the National Hockey League as we're at the beginning of a brand new season. Everyone is optimistic about their chances. Everyone is optimistic about their roster. And now we'll let the games sort of play out and see how things sort out in the end. Our thanks to Mike Heika. Our thanks to Stephen Laidlaw with the Fantasy 5. Our thanks to Amanda Stein and Ansar Khan, all for joining us on the program today. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd is back again next Saturday and Sunday at 11 Eastern. Have a great week of hockey.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.